Hey guys, TrueGreen7 here, and if there's one thing I've learned from the internet, it would be that people suck. But in this video series, I believe I can correct people's lack of perspective when it comes to a few Pokemon. There are a bunch of Pokemon that are unpopular for different reasons, and in this video, I'm going to focus on a few Pokemon that are quote-unquote unpopular, and find all the good things I can talk about to defend them, like a cool origin, clever name, underrated Pokedex entry, and more. I just want to demonstrate how you should always try to learn more about the things you dislike, either to make sure your negative opinion is informed, or to find neat facts that'll make you like the things that you didn't in the past. Because it's obviously better to love than to hate. Of course, some of these Pokemon aren't as unpopular as others. They were picked because they have at least one trait that fans criticize. This is actually the second time I've made a video like this though. The first time, I defended Pokemon like the elemental monkeys, so check that out if you haven't. But let's start with this new batch of Pokemon. Now tell me, what's a Pokemon you dislike? Do you dislike, Kricketune? Huh? How dare you, sir, or ma'am, or it? All this bug wants to do is make music, and all you want from it is to brawl in battles? He's a lover, not a fighter. Why must every artist conform to your expectations? So what if the only thing this thing can do in battle is make some sticky webs? Kricketune a pretty cool concept for a Pokemon. Naturally, a cricket Pokemon would make some music, but Game Freak took it a tad further, and designed it to look like both a string instrument, what with its knife-like arms, cello-like figure, and violin-esque patterns on its abdomen, and a conductor by giving it a mustache and cape-like wings. It's a pretty unique and well-thought-out design, and an unnoticed choice was having Kricketot's antennas transform into Kricketune's nose and mustache, which is an original way to make the design more consistent upon evolution. And the way its cry resonates within its hollow belly is an innovative way of combining the attributes of an instrument and animal. And although it doesn't really look like a cricket, its resemblance to a scarlet lily beetle is uncanny, and I love when artists find a new way to interpret the form of an animal into a Pokemon. It makes total sense, so as a Pokemon, this isn't a failure. In fact, if you weren't convinced yet, listen to its magnificent cry. That's a victory screech if I ever heard one. Either that made you absolutely love the Pokemon, or hate it even more. Which sucks, cause that's all I got to defend Kricketune. But I bet a majority of you guys have never heard of Grumpig's supposed origin, which brings its whole design and concept into perspective. It's more than a coincidence that its appearance borrows from a biblical proverb. The phrase ends with, "Neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again and rend you." This saying basically means that you shouldn't try to give pieces of wisdom to people who wouldn't appreciate the teachings. The pearls represent these teachings, but instead of trampling on the pearls, these pigs use them to expand the mind and enhance their psychic powers. It's as if Game Freak made a Pokemon based on the proverb, a leopard cannot change its spots. And this new Pokemon was in fact a camouflaging leopard that changed its spots to blend in. That's a pretty good idea actually. Don't steal it please. Although it would probably be too similar to Liepard. But that's basically the point I'm trying to make. It's a cool subversion of an existing proverb that I hope people would take note of. And this Pokemon's stats aren't that bad, and it has a useful move pool, and if you thought this was a happy-go-lucky pig, look at its name. And as well as the fact that this Pokemon is a manipulative son of a pig. I don't even know why it's not a dark type. It basically does what Malamar does, but if you thought this Pokemon was just a grumpy old boar, its name is probably not a combination of grump and pig, but rather grunt or grumble and pig, just like its Japanese name. I know I said it was grumpy and then contradicted myself, but I'm just trying to please everybody. Don't give me those faces. You know what faces I'm talking about. This face right here. It's not something I would like to look at or eat, unlike fugu. You see, the pufferfish when prepared correctly is a delicacy in Japan, but when not prepared correctly, it's a trip to the hospital, or even the grave. Pufferfish are extremely poisonous, so this Pokemon's typing makes absolute sense. And its design also mimics that of a naval mine, and those are powerful. I mean, combining a pufferfish and a naval mine is a clever idea. I wish I thought of it. And if you only judge your Pokemon based on battle prowess, I'd have you know that this Pokemon is relatively defensive and has a good amount of utility moves and counters, all while boasting some decent speed capabilities. But it's not as fast as a Pokemon like Crobat, who isn't going to be featured in this video because it's pretty popular. But its pre-evolved forms, Zubat and Golbat, they aren't popular. Some might say they're unpopular because of how frequently they can be encountered in the caves of pretty much every region. But what if I told you that they actually get a bad rap nowadays? Well, for one, if you catch a Zubat and give it some sweet rodent love, it'll eventually become a Crobat. And that's an offer I can't refuse. This thing is the best. But also keep in mind that there are Pokemon that could be encountered more often than these two, like Tentacool, which are more common and as frustrating. People call it the Zubat of the sea, but considering it's more annoying, they should call Zubat the Tentacool of the cave. Not to mention Zubat's sharp design, and I'm not talking about these teeth. I'm talking about how it has no eyes and uses ultrasonic waves to navigate. Just like how people believe bats are blind, which they are not, while they don't have the best vision, megabats actually see pretty well. Better than you and me, or her, or him, or this thing. It's a cool take on the classic myth that bats are blind, but echolocation is a huge help for bats in cramped spaces. So I say let's give these bats some love. Swoobat knows what I'm talking about. After all, it's a love bat. And I think it's a swell idea to have ultrasonic love rays emit from a hard-nosed bat. It's based on the hard-nosed bat, which is a real thing. I checked, don't ask how, but it did involve camping in the caves of Uganda. But once I found the way, I noticed how the Honduran white bat exists. It's pretty cute, and could have helped inspire Swoobat's evolutionary line. And once again, if all you want to do is use this bat in battle, take a gander at this speed stat. 2 calm minds and this thing will kill you with love. And since Valentine's Day is right around the corner, I'll keep the love going with another Pokemon that represents that holiday, Aromatisse, cause it smells good. And you want to smell good when you're around your significant other. But I can't honestly say that the love is as intense right now, cause Aromatisse is actually my least favorite Pokemon, and the fact that I'm going to defend it right now shows how things aren't black and white. Most things are not 100% good or bad, so listen up. I do think this Pokemon has a fantastic concept. It's a combination of a flamenco dancer, can-can dancer, perfume bottle, and a plague doctor. And in case you don't know why these random things have been cleverly combined, let me inform you. While it is a French dancing bird based on the equally French can-can dancers, the fact that it resembles a plump flamingo can be a pun on flamenco dancers. During the Black Death, various doctors who treated victims of the plague were called plague doctors. They wore these beaked masks filled with good-smelling flora because back then, they thought bad smells were the cause of disease. This can be linked to perfume. Spritzy even has a little knob on its head that represents the cover of a perfume bottle. And admittedly, this Pokemon is pretty defensive and an effective healer. Its typing and move pool allow it to take down common offensive Pokemon as well. Still wish it was dead though. Nah, I'm kidding, I only said that just so I can perfectly segue into our next Pokemon, Dhelmise, who's a ghost type. It's not the most popular Alolan Pokemon, probably among the bottom 10, mostly because a lot of people aren't fans of inanimate object Pokemon, and a few rebels who don't like to read Pokedex entries don't understand why this Pokemon is ghost grass type, since it's a giant rusty anchor. So why is Dhelmise not a steel type? That's an easy question, give me a harder one. Are we alone in the universe? Yes. Do souls exist? Yes. Is this seaweed the actual Pokemon, not the anchor? Yeah. That's why it's a grass type. This is some ghostly seaweed that attached itself to an anchor and uses its new host to attack and devour Pokemon like Wailord. That's pretty insane. Imagine being a Wailord in Alola. That's not fun. Its name is also a neat combo of Helm and Demise. And look at those terrorizing stats. No wonder they can take on a Wailord. Of course, it's not fast, but I don't expect the haunted anchor to run that quick. But come on, this thing is strong for a piece of kelp. I'd enjoy using one in the future. And if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and maybe check out my previous Unpopular Pokemon Defense video if you haven't. Links to my Twitter, Facebook, t-shirts, Patreon, and the music you heard in this video are in the description, so it would be awesome if you check out all those pages if you know what's good for you. Bye!